Hey guys, it's Josh with Cardinal Offroad. Tonight we're going to do a rear cross member, and we're also going to tack some brackets into place to start our rear forelink. I want to say thanks to everybody that's subscribed so far, and if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so. There's going to be a lot of good videos coming out, and if you haven't watched my previous videos on my Jeep TJ build, make sure you do so. So the first thing I want to do is actually make a cross member to go right below the output shaft of the transfer case right there. And it's going to be right above my skid plate. Now, I know a lot of people will go up above it and then kind of cut over to the other side. The issue with that is, with doing the tummy tuck with the flat skid plate, I push that transfer case up so far, there's really not much room. So my thought is to actually go straight across, and I'll do a little cutout right there just to give me a little extra clearance. And I'm also going to do a little bit of cutout for the exhaust. Alright, so this is what I've come up with. So I put some tape on here and I drew some lines. So this is where the transfer case output shaft is. Now, it's not even hitting this yet, but I want to make sure whenever the Jeep flexes out and stuff that nothing's going to be moving and binding. So I'm going to give it extra clearance. So I'm going to cut that out a little bit around there. And then over here I cut out, or I drew up for the exhaust. Now that's going to come down about 1 inch. And then when I cut these out, I'll actually plate it in there, and I'm also going to stick a fish plate, even though I'm not cutting all the way through, just to reinforce it right by them joints. Now the idea that I have is to make this section come out. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet, but the reason is, just in case I ever got to drop my transfer case, I'll be able to do that. Alright, so this is what I've come up with. So here you have the cutout for the exhaust. Here you have the cutout for the output on the transfer case. So it's going to set up there. Just like so. So this is the top, and my idea is actually one link will go here and the other will go in here for the mount up of the lower links. So the next step is to take these rear brackets and actually weld them together. Now, these come from Artec, and the reason they come in 2 pieces is depending on your hind joint. So the width of your hind joint can change the way this bracket is set up. So you take this bracket. It's pretty simple to line up. All you gotta do is look at your cutouts. So you have this cutout and this cutout. Obviously you want those to line up. So what we're gonna do is set this down like this. Take this cutout, match it up with that, and it's gonna go together like that. So now you can move this pretty much wherever you need to. So what I'm gonna do is take my hind joint, put my misalignment spacers in it. I'm going to set that in there just like so. I'm going to run my bolt through. Now this bolt's too long, but I'm just using it to set this mount up. So I'm going to go ahead and run this through. Run it through my misalignment spacers and my hind joint until it's sticking through like that. And then all I'm going to do is take this piece, line it up just like so, and that's where it needs to be. So you obviously don't want any gaps there. You want this to be straight with this side so it's even. And now all I'm going to do is go ahead and tack this piece into place, and then once it's tacked into place, I'll fully weld it. Now we've got everything tacked into place, we're going to fully weld this bracket up along with the other one. Make sure you take the hind joint out. You don't need it in there. You only need it in there when you're tacking it into place. That way you know the spread right here is the right spot. When you're tacking these, make sure you're putting multiple tacks on around. If you just tack on the lower side and then you go to weld this, it can tend to move on you. So make sure you do proper tacks and get them all the way around the bracket. And when you're fully welding this up, if you're worried about any metal moving, just move your heat around. Maybe do a bead here, then go move on the other bracket, do a bead on that one, and then do another bead on this one. Just keep going back and forth. And that'll kind of keep your heat down in one area, kind of move it around. So let's go and weld these up, and then we'll tack them up underneath the Jeep. One thing to keep in mind when you're doing these type of brackets, you want to make sure that you're getting the correct angle that's going to take it to your truss. And what I mean by that is when you buy these brackets, you can get these in different angles, like a 10 degrees or a 20 degrees. The reason I want to do these brackets first is it's going to make it a little easier on the truss. The truss brackets I can move left to right pretty easy. That's not that big a deal. And so I've seen some people where they just run tabs back here to make it a little easier, and then when they're done they'll box it in. Whichever you want to do. What I did was I tacked these together and I actually placed them up here. I put the heim joint inside, and then I just ran a broomstick from the heim joint up to the truss where my brackets were, and just to make sure that's in a straight line. What you don't want is to have one bracket facing somewhat straight and the other at an angle, and then your links are going to be in a bind already. You want to keep your links as smooth as possible throughout the whole flexing the suspension. Real quick, I wanted to show you guys what I meant by making sure your brackets are in line. So down there, that is the bracket that I just tacked into place. Now I went ahead and put my heim joint in, and I went ahead and put a piece of DOM on that and ran it up to where the truss is. Now this axle is going to be forward just a little bit. It's actually going to be right in here, which is why I've started to cut the body out, because I need room for my brackets. But what I meant was you want to make sure that the brackets up top, or let's just say the brackets on the axle, are facing the brackets towards the frame. What I mean by that is the bracket down there, obviously it's coming in a straight line like this. I don't want this bracket like this. So you want to keep your heim joints in a good, nice spot at all times if possible. Just allow for smooth suspension travel. And now that I have that bracket set up down there, I can easily come up here, set this up underneath like that, mark it on the truss where it needs to be, and then I know I'm in the right spot. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Another good tip when you're welding or when you're tacking things into place, make sure you're picking good spots to tack it to where you can cut it off. So what I mean by that is if I'm going to weld this bracket on, I don't want to go down in here and tack this into place. I want to either tack here or even here, somewhere where I can get in there with a cutoff wheel and actually cut that weld if need be. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're doing this sort of stuff, because odds are, even if you tack it into place, there's a good chance you may have to move it depending on how the suspension travels and if there's things hitting and stuff like that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you check out the rest of my build. I'm hoping on the next video, we're obviously going to mess with the truss, hopefully get these axle brackets for the uppers in place, and maybe start working on some links. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up.